Hello everyone, welcome back to Hyperflex Huddle. I am your host Parivesh and we are huddling up once again to bring you the insights and trends directly from the Elastic expert. And today we're going to discuss about an interesting topic. But before we jump into the topic and get it started, I would like to welcome our guest. So we have Rishabh with us. So welcome Rishabh to Hyperflex Huddle.
Thank you, Parivesh.
And before we jump on to the session, can you quickly introduce yourself for our viewers?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Rishabh Mahajan. I work as a Elasticsearch consultant and I help organizations design, implement, and get more value out of Elastic. And I'm excited to be here and join this conversation.
Thank you, Rishabh. So the topic for today's session is Elastic Public Roadmap. So Elastic has recently rolled out a public roadmap. What it is, how it is useful for you, how can you get most out of it, what can you expect, and we're gonna discuss all this in today's session. And so, yeah, Rishabh, my first question to you is what actually is this public roadmap? Can you simplify it for our users? What actually is and what we can expect from it?
Yes. So, Elastic roadmap basically tells us that what are some features that Elastic is working on for its consumer base. So if we talk about why we should be looking at Elastic Roadmap, so it's a great place to start off exploring what Elastic will be working on in the recent future. I think it matters because enterprises and customers will have visibility into Elastic and how where it is heading. And for a enterprise, it's a big thing. It's kind of a big deal where they don't make decisions just for like next 3 or 4 months. They are planning for next 12 or 14 or maybe 24 months. And in that case, it is important for organizations to know what Elastic would be heading in the next 24 months, what features they will be adding, and what are the capabilities they are going to get additionally in next maybe a year or two.
Okay. Can you show us or maybe tell us that how what actually it looks like and how can someone can understand it and how it someone can navigate through it because that would be really helpful.
Let me quickly just share my screen and I'll show you.
Sure.
Let's go to Elastic Public Roadmap page. So here is a blog that says the Elastic Public Roadmap is here. And if you scroll down, we'll have a link to the GitHub. That is the actual page where all the tickets that are related to the roadmap are being shown. So basically, this is where Elastic will provide all of its tickets that it is working on right now and in near future and whatever is completed as well. So if you can see here, they have pretty well organized everything based on the direction they are working on. They have roadmap for search, observability, security, and they also have filters here. If it's a ticket related to cloud marketplace support, we can tap here and it will filter it out for us. Just to give our viewers an example, as a consultant, do you remember we faced this issue a lot of time where we had to join cloud organizations from different teams that we worked with, right? So we had an issue.
The restriction that we cannot join the client's organization because we are already part of our own organizations.
Yeah, so this was one of the limitations where we were not able to join multiple organizations. So one day I was just going through this roadmap and I tried to check if we have a solution yet or is Elastic working on this. So I quickly went over to the most appropriate filter here, decided to check if Elastic Cloud Security is working on something related to that. And fortunately, I found a ticket here where it says that, all right, now Elastic is working on a feature where Elastic Cloud users would be able to join multiple organization as a member. So that's a that's something that I can promise to my customers that okay, maybe in near future I would be able to join your organization and you won't need me to create a email id dedicated to you. That way I can at least promise my customer base that okay, this is a kind of feature that we are working on right now. We don't have a solution yet, but we'll have it in future.
Right. Awesome. I think, yeah, I also have a story to tell, because So I think one or 2 months back, I was working for a client, and we need a particular integration, and it was not available. And at that time, this public map was not there. And the question we had is that can we? So it was a direct question from the client. Can we expect out of the box integration for this technology in near future, or we need to work around something? So I need to go through a lot of internal teams and ask if there is any. And also they also need to go. So it was kind of a very scattered approach just to get a simple answer. With this, if this would have been there, not only I can have the answer, but also I can show them. Okay, you can also go and see. It's not so. Yeah, it's a good thing to, because now we know where they are heading, what we can expect, and we can plan accordingly.
Yeah. This way, customers would have a much more visibility on what Elastic is doing right now and what it is planning to do. So we can at least take a reference here that okay, Elastic has this issue in their mind and it is working on it.
So, so let's say what I want to ask is, I have like we have been active on the community, right? We have seen the community, and now that they have rolled out the public roadmap as well, do you think in a way Elastic is trying to, or maybe becoming more customer driven instead of just kind of enterprise that just works in the way they like? They are listening to their customer, working on the customer feedbacks, and try to improve their platform.
Yeah, definitely. I think when a company puts out something like a public roadmap, it reflects a certain level of maturity. It means they are not just building internally and then someday coming to a market and surprising us. They are in a way more opening up in a conversational way to us that okay, this is what we are building on. Give your feedbacks through maybe GitHub threads or the issues that are open at the elastic dot. That's important because enterprise customers want to know what their needs are and how they're shaping the product's direction. A public roadmap creates that feeling of partnership. It's like elastic is saying that we are listening and here's that's what's getting translated into our product as an investment. So yes, I do say this as a sign of elastic becoming more customer driven, especially in areas like AI and security and observability. We see a lot of things going on there once we open the public roadmap.
So, you have covered and we have discussed on how this roadmap is beneficial for a client or an enterprise client, or maybe a organization that is using Elasticsearch. But what do you feel for an engineer or maybe consultants like us, how this roadmap is actually important for our shoes, for our perspective?
So, lot of time when we are working as consultants, we usually get a lot of bugs, right? Every organization has a lot of engineers. The time when they need us is when they need actual expertise. And the times comes when there is a bug or maybe some kind of tricky scenarios where Elastic has not yet accomplished in terms of technology. So when certain situations come, we can just directly jump on the public roadmap and see if this is some kind of topic that is Elastic actively working on or not. If not, we can directly go to our support team or anything and open a case for that particular scenario where we know that okay, our customers are facing this issue and we are not taking this into consideration. So probably we need to hurry up and work on this if enough number of consumers are facing this kind of issues.
Right. And also, I think it will save a lot of redundant effort, because let's say, as you said, there might be a situation where we face and we know that this is not available out of the box, certain functionality. And as an engineer, we may go ahead and start working on a workaround, maybe using some custom solutions or maybe using some other third party applications and all. And once we have, let's say, it would be a very painful situation when I worked for 4 to 5 months on a workaround or maybe a functionality, and I have achieved it. But after 1 or 2 months, Elastic has rolled out its new version and it has out of the box functionality for it. So what I feel, if so before, it's kind of a check if they are working on it, they are the experts, they are the ones who are building the platform. If they are working on it, maybe we should not go into that deep. If we can just have a workaround for like a patch solutions for a couple of months, and then once the out of the box solution is available, we can start work using that. So it will save a lot of redundant efforts as well. What do you think?
I agree on that. It will definitely save a lot of efforts. As a consultant, most of the times we work on patches as well. Let's say we don't have integrations, like you said, would work for a particular scenario. So we usually go ahead and create some scripts, and it takes a lot of time. I agree to that. Sometimes it even takes months if there are like 10 integrations that the client will provide to us, that we need some kind of ingestion pipeline or something to work and ingest this data to our we don't have integration out of the box. We just go ahead and say, okay, I'll be working on that. We don't have an option because we don't see it in the Kibana console or on the documentation page. But now we have this capability where we can check if Elastic is working on this particular integration or some types of integration directly on the web, and answer the clients on the call itself that, okay, this is what Elastic is working on, but you need to wait for maybe a quarter or 2 quarters when this will be generally available. And before that, I'll provide you a temporary patch that should work for you instead of building a whole, production grade integration from our own.
Right. Speaking of integration, when I was going through the public roadmap, it was I've seen in the security roadmap they're adding new integrations. It generally put a smile on my face. Maybe in future, I have also seen the integrations which I have patched using the scripts and all. But not just integration. In general, there is a lot of work going on in terms of security. If we see there's the highest number of tickets right now on the roadmap, it belongs to security. So what do you think, and why they so much works around security, and what can we expect in future from that?
So when we started with the security, I'm talking way back in like 7.x, 6.x, Elastic Seam was kind of very traditional. It was one of the later things that Elastic caught up with. So it was a really simple UI, and it was based more on just the visibility and detection and nothing more than that. And if you go now and see Elastic Security, it's an app in itself. It's inside Kibana Elasticsearch, and it doesn't just have the visibility and detection. It is now working on responses as well. So Elastic Security can now do the detection rules, do the alerts, have dashboards and everything. And along with that, it can respond to the threats as well. That's a really powerful tool that Elasticsearch is offering as a whole.
Right.
And
And yeah,
yeah,
also with Agent Builder, I think so. I've seen some ask and tickets from the customers that they do want to see something like Agent Builder for the security as well, because agent that lives in the Elastic
mhm.
and can curate it for like the security needs, because all the data you have inside your security, an agent can detect some threats and everything like that. So they're also working on that. And with the changing era, especially when we talk about agents and everything, yes, it is exciting, but I feel security is one domain where, if after AI, one field where most of the work will be focusing on is the security, because it was never a choice, but in current scenario you cannot look away from it. With this much of compute power and everything, it is so much easier to have a attack plan and
Mhm.
everything. So security was never a choice, but right now it's kind of a necessity of a necessity, and I think that's why there are so much of work going on around security. But what do you feel?
Exactly. Having AI in security is kind of something that makes me think of Elasticsearch as an exciting technology still in the field of security. If I talk back, there was a feature called timelines. So, in very early days with Elastic Security, whenever you got an alert, you had to like jump back and forth between different UIs and tools and try to see what possible have been the possible scenario to bring that attack in place. So when timelines were introduced, it was kind of a UI. It was not an AI, just a UI, where you could possibly see that this was the alert that got triggered, and then you had the capability to see the events that took place that brought that alert in place. So that was one of the big functionality, I would say, that Elastic added with the 7 versions. And now when I think about AI, what Elastic can do is what they're proposing is there would be automated flows. AI would be in Elastic Security. It will tell us, the analyst especially, that okay, this is how this particular incident took place and this is what you should do now. So our analyst will be saved from a lot of false positives. AI can filter that out, and then it will tell our analyst as well that, okay, I saved this much of your time. Now, these are the alerts that are really critical that you need to work on. And I already have this data for the event that took place for you. You just need to analyze it and maybe tell your managers or tell the respective teams that this actually happened and this is kind of critical thing that happened with our infrastructure or maybe services, so please have a look at that in a really short time. So that is something that could be really powerful that AI and Elasticsearch can do together in the domain of security.
Right, because it take a lot of effort to find out if it was a noise or it was actually something that you need to pay your attention towards. And these agents can be of a really useful tool when it comes to figuring out if it was something that requires the analyst's attention or it was just a noise and we can avoid it. So I completely agree on this. Also, apart from security, there's one more thing that got my attention is that they keep on adding new regions to serverless, which means they're really serious about the offerings. I can see 4 to 5 more Azure regions were added. Before that, there was when 9.3 was rolled out, it was mentioned that some more regions were there as well added to the serverless offering. So I think serverless is something that they are focusing on. What do you feel? First of all, clarify what serverless offering is and also whom should consider it. And yeah, first let's answer this and then I have a follow up question on this.
All right. So this term serverless apparently came from AWS. It got really popular there, right? So apparently that means is you don't have to manage any infrastructure. Elastic will take care of it. You just need to have the access to the cluster using a UI in the cloud, and you can ingest the data and do whatever you want. Do search, do observability, do security, do monitoring without doing the heavy lifting of managing the cluster infrastructure. Right. So yeah, I see a lot of regions and everything being expanded with the serverless. That's basically because Elasticsearch is also now trying to be a true Elasticsearch as a service. So what that means is now consumers don't even need to manage what their data tiers look like. Right now, they offered Elastic Cloud hosted. So in that setup, we had to manage our infrastructure like we need to tell them, okay, this is what our hot data requirements are. So allocate me 10 TB for this, 20 TB for this, and then 90 TB for maybe whole tier. And then we were being told to manage that at least on the cloud UI. So we had to take care of if my data is going beyond this limit. Okay, I need to go to the cloud UI. I need to double my limit of storage, and that way my cluster would run. Downside of this is we had to pay for what we actually provision. So even if I provision 40 TB and just use 1 TB, I would have to pay for whole 40 TBs of data being stored in my Elastic Cloud hosted. So that being one of the limitations that we can say it was not a true Elasticsearch service. So now they introduced serverless where you pay for whatever you store and then you build anything you want on top of that. So that way Elasticsearch is kind of new and really exciting and everyone wants to have a taste of what it could do now.
Mhm. So yeah, now it's time for the follow-up question. So do you think for an organization that is right now using ECH, which is Elastic Cloud Hosted, should look into serverless and think maybe they should migrate from ECH to serverless, or this is more of a offering that is majorly built for first-time users, which do not figure out uh, what their size is and everything, and once so they just come spin off a deployment and just start using it and pay for what they're using.
So Coming to the point, if you are first time user, definitely you should go ahead and test everything on serverless. It's kind of really straightforward and you don't have to manage a team. Being the first time user, you don't have to manage a team of like 2 or 3 engineers dedicatedly managing your elastic infrastructure and everything. You are a first time user, you want to do a POC, you need to try out new things, go to serverless, play around with that. If it satisfies your needs, definitely you should stick to the serverless. If you are already customer using Elastic Cloud hosted, I would say it is good to have a taste of what Elastic serverless is. Do some POCs, test it out. If it is feasible, only if it is feasible that you don't need to manage your cloud infrastructure and serverless is providing you kind of cost efficiency in terms of there. You don't have to downsize or upsize your ECH cluster too often. Then go for serverless, try it out. If not, it is not a hard boundary to like directly switch from ECS to serverless because ECS is also going to be supported for a long way to come.
Um, Also, so yeah, thank you for the explanation. Coming back to the public roadmap again, there's one more, what you can say, hot topic there. It was ESQL. And so I have talked about this before in one of our installments, but I want your views. Uh, why so much fuzz around ESQL and uh, why it is being like it is getting popular for sure. Otherwise, if people were not using it, we won't be seeing this much of work in it. So why it is first of all getting popular, and what do you think? Why they are uh, putting so much effort on this?
So absolutely, that's a very good point to take out on this podcast. So when I look at why Elastic is investing heavily in ESQL, I see Elasticsearch is making a move forward to make users use a singular language to interact with whole of its platform. Elasticsearch is really broad nowadays. They are covering security, they are covering observability, they are covering monitoring, and with that there are like multiple languages. We have KQL, we have DSL to work with. So nobody wants dedicated persons to work with different parts of Elasticsearch. So what Elastic did is it brought in a singular language that can interact with all of its offerings. That is ESQL. And what stands out to me with Elastic not treating ESQL like a small feature update, it's kind of their strategic direction. It means Elasticsearch sees ESQL as their main ways. I mean, users will interact with Elasticsearch going forward because they are investing a lot in it and they are trying to make it as mature as other languages that they have. Yeah. Apart from doing traditional search, if Elastic is trying to be a company who can offer search, observability, security, analytics, so it is trying to build a language that can interact with all of these tools that Elasticsearch offered to us in a way that a single engineer can work on all of it.
Right. I think you raised a very good point because with a unified language, the learning curve is kind of becoming short, right? And it won't be kind of a surprises. And also, even though we have this autocomplete and AI agents which can gives you the queries and all, having a unified language actually solves a lot of problem. Also, it is kind of a hybrid of SQL and Linux commands, right? Because it works in a piped way. So if someone who likes to work with Linux commands and is very used to this pipe and joining their commands and having it into the series, it you can say it caters that hunger as well. Also, a lot of guys who has been working for SQL for a lot of time and for a very long period, it kinds of very similar to that as well. So it's kind of a good of both of their favorite tools, and so it's also lucrative. Okay, we have something that you already know, or maybe something similar to what you already know. So it kind of generate an excitement and do and wants. So I think it's a great tool to attract the newer customer as well, because I have seen so those who has already know or working with DSL, I think they don't know, they want to stick with DSL. So now they are in love with DSL and they face some difficulties moving to ESQL. But I've seen a newer one who do not know the DSL. If you give the options of whether you want to go with a DSL query or ESQL, they want to go with ESQL because they are working with SQL. They have their mind is trained to think in a that way, so they are going with that. So I think it is a lucrative bait to attract the newer users.
Yeah, exactly. And with new users, if you tell them, okay, here is the dev tools, the console, and you need to use DSL here. Then you ask them, okay, go check some logs for me. And then you guide them to discover. And now they have to learn a KQL language. So it is kind of, they are like scared. Okay, why not a single language here? So now when ESQL is in place, they can learn this a singular language and they can work across whole platform without any issues.
And I think the intent was clear from the start because when they introduced a dedicated engine for ESQL rather than having it translated into DSL or some other language internally, it has a dedicated engine for the ESQL. So it was intended to have come this way, and I think we can expect seeing the public roadmap itself. We can say it's not yet come to its final version. It has a long way to go, and yeah, so we should also start looking into SQL now. And even though we love ESF, but we should start using ESQL very often because I think this is the future.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be the future. I mean, it's gonna be a single unified language that's gonna do everything with Elastic in near future.
Also, if public roadmap map was there, there was a question of joins in ESQL that has been a hot topic in the community for like not that in the current time, but before like 6 months and everything when the 9 was not released. I think for since it has released, ESQL was introduced, everyone was asking for joins. So if they had this public roadmap, there shouldn't have this much of threads asking about the joins. They know, okay, in some part we will be introducing it in 9. Please stay calm and stay, like I said, tuned. But yeah, so it's kind of a nice to have this really a good move, I think, from Elastic, which keeps it very ahead of the competitors, because now there's a connect that every user can feel. And if you have if community has something that needs the attention, as you said, either using the support tickets or using your GitHub comments and everything, you can tell Elastic, okay, please work on this. Not only just tell them and just assume that, okay, maybe they are working on it, and sit blindfolded. You can see your public roadmap. Okay, I have asked for this, and if I see a card in public roadmap, yay, it's a win for me.
Yeah, definitely. And good thing is like they are telling us what they will be doing in next 6 months. So time cards here are like on a 3 months gap. It would say if it says in progress, it's like Elastic is working on it right now. If it says it's midterm, it would say like Elastic is gonna work on this and get you this feature somewhere around 6 months. So you know what the timeline will look like 6 months from now, and that's like a really good way to know where Elastic is heading forward and how we can accordingly plan our decisions on based of that.
Right. Yeah, I have one last question for you. I know it's hard to see all the tickets, but from all the tickets that you have seen, which feature you are most excited about?
So uh, there is this feature in security. Let me show you. Why not to use the public roadmap when we have it? Okay, okay, let's find it out with the correct filter. Okay, here it is same. All right. So there is this ticket which says scene readiness, visibility, health, and data coverage. So till now, what was happening is we had our Elastic Security app and it was keeping an eye on our infrastructure, our logs, our applications, and telling us, okay, these are the anomalies, these are the alerts that you should be worried about. But how did we know that our Elastic SIM itself is correct? It is giving us the alerts and detection based on the right data. So what Elastic is going to introduce is its own SIM readiness page where it will tell us basically that, all right, you have a SIM security app and your logs and everything are ECS compatible. So that's a good thing. It will tell us that your ingestion pipelines are running well or not. If there are any errors with how you're ingesting data or not, that's gonna be is like, okay, we are not having any discrepancies with our data. That's gonna tell us that. Then it will tell us that, okay, your retention period is right or not right. So it will tell us if we are basically creating some detection or threat analysis based on a really small amount of data, and we should be considering returning more data. So that way it's gonna actually give a health check to our SIEM security app itself rather than just our SIEM security app giving a health check to our other infrastructure. So that's gonna be a really good feature.
It gives me, image of like that complete your profile. So many social media apps has this. Okay, you are good. You are using our app, but your profile is only 70% complete. Go do this things, and then you will be 100% complete profile. So it's like, okay, you
Exactly.
are using my SIM app, but you are not utilizing it fully, or maybe you are not 100% ready to use it. Please do this, have it ready, and then use.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be like that, and it's gonna be really powerful because, like, we will know if we are even ready for detecting threats or not. If we are not, we should probably focus on optimizing our setup first, and then actually giving real threats to to
Right. I mean, yeah, that's all I have. Thank you so much, Rishabh, for clarifying everything, every doubt that I and hopefully our users have. I'm gonna definitely have a more detailed look into the public roadmap, and I highly recommend everyone who is using Elastic or building something on top of Elastic, please go have a look. As we said, it will save a lot of redundant effort if you are see if they are already working on something that you are trying to achieve, and you can also plan ahead of time. Okay, for a feature that's gonna roll out 6 months later, you can start planning today what you're gonna be building on top of it, so that you will be ahead of your competitors. So go have a look, see how you can have most of it, and yeah, we will see you in our next episode with some more insights and some more trends. Once again, thank you so much, Rishabh. And for our users, please follow our YouTube channel. We'll be meeting every week with new podcasts, with new guests, and with new trend. Hopefully, sometimes a repetitive guest because we want to have more out of these experts. But do follow us on our social media. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Instagram, we are on FB by the name of hyperflex.co. And till the next time, please enjoy our webinars as well. It is also available on our YouTube channel. And please follow us on our social media. Also, follow our blog on our website, hyperflex.go. See you till the next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.